Father's Day is Sunday, and Wager Talk has a perfect gift for all you dads out there. Lock in as many handicappers as you want for 3 days for only $29 each using coupon code DAD29. This coupon goes live on Sunday and is active until midnight, dropping the price of a 3-day all access from $69 to $29, coming out to less than $10 per day. Just go to WagerTalk.com, choose your favorite handicapper, use coupon code DAD29 at checkout, and repeat as many times as you want until midnight.
Welcome into First Pitch for Friday, June 18th. We got 4 games on the slate for the Friday night MLB slate. We're breaking down best bets at the end. I am Drew Martin, your host, joined by Dave Koken and Bryan Leonard of WagerTalk.com. First up here, let's head to Las Vegas, Nevada. Dave Koken, fresh off of his 5% MLB winner last night. Dave, happy Friday morning to you.
Yep, got a good result. First one this year on the 5%. I don't put these out very often, and the results have been just great when I do. And we got another one last night with the first 5-inning play on the Angels minus a half run. They won that portion of the game 2-0. Held on. Game got pretty exciting late. And fun night in baseball overall. I pushed my other play, which was the Reds' first 5 innings, 0-0. After 5, Wade Miley had a no-hitter going, so a little disappointed to get the push on that. And then if you watch the end of that game, absolute insanity at Petco. 40,000 packed in, and they went absolutely crazy with a walk-off by Victor Caratini. Great game, lots of excitement. Tonight, 2 plays. One of them is a free play, which you can get right now at WagerTalk.com, wt.buzz/DC, my homepage there. You can also get my featured selection for Friday and a play of the hockey game tonight. Or if you just want to watch the video of the free play, just follow me on Twitter at Dave Koken.
Bryan Leonard next up here. Bryan, I believe from the state of Florida. Welcome into the show. Happy Friday to you, buddy.
Hey, happy Friday to everybody. And yeah, Dave mentioned my play yesterday. I had Cincinnati, but I hadn't for the full game. And I'm watching the Tampa Bay game being down here in Florida. And all of a sudden I see the score. It's 2-0 going to the 9th inning. Yeah, I said, well, playing an underdog, you don't expect these things to turn out that well. And then they score 4 runs, take the lead, and I'm feeling all right. I says the winning streak continues. Well, that didn't last very long. Is the Reds bullpen, which has been a problem all season long, gave it up late, and I ended up losing that game. Don't know if I deserved it. As Dave pointed out, they were down 2-0 going to the 9th. But, yeah, it would have been nice if we'd have continued with that. But, hey, we'll take it. I wasn't overly disappointed, as Dave mentioned. Miley pitched really well. And as what is normally the case on Wade Miley and some of these guys that don't throw fire, there's a lot of value on these type of pitchers, and we look to take advantage of those.
Absolutely. Looking for value on today's card. Let's start off here in the East Coast, our nation's capital. We got New York Mets and the Washington Nationals here, Dave. Fedde, the UNLV grad, the starter here for the Nationals, the righty versus Lucchesi, the lefty going for the Mets. Total of 9, minus 115. Why'd you want to talk about this one tonight, Dave?
Well, Mets and Nationals are always a good matchup. It's a divisional battle. The Mets are playing good baseball. They lost yesterday, but they've been playing well. Joey Lucchesi settled in recently. He was really struggling early on, and I was kind of looking at him and saying, I wonder if they're going to DFA him at some point, because he was just scuffling all over the place and giving up some big numbers. But he's settled in, and his last 3 outings have been quite good. Going against Eric Fedde, who's coming off a really good performance. Both these teams have negative numbers. As far as WRC Plus is concerned, Mets versus lefties on the road, not real good. Nationals basically aren't very good against anything, but particularly not good at home against righties. Neither team is killing the ball right now. You've got 2 pitchers under the radar who are in better form than you'd expect right now. I think you might see a lower scoring game here. I lean to the under in the matchup between the Mets and Nationals.
Okay. And Bryan, heading to the nation's capital tonight. I guess we do have 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out 80 degrees, but still, I think Dave's onto something there. 2 underrated pitchers. What are you thinking tonight, Washington and the Mets?
Yeah, I was thinking something very similar in that regard, but I went back and looked at who Joey Lucchesi has faced. His last 7 starts, he's played the Padres twice. He's coming off 2 games against the Padres. Padres aren't hitting at all right now. He's also faced Colorado twice, and we know Colorado's offense is probably the worst in baseball. He faced Miami, and I know you're down there with the Marlins, but the offense hasn't been very good this season. And he faced St. Louis. St. Louis has really struggled. And they faced the Cubs. Now, the Cubs are probably the best offense out of that entire group. I know some of these teams hit lefties a little bit better than they do righties, but none of these teams have really been hitting as much as of late. So I am a little bit worried from that regard, which would make sense on playing the under. But I just think Lucchesi's numbers are based off of playing teams that just haven't had very good offensive years. Washington has won 4 straight games. I think there's slate value here on Washington playing at home, but it's not a game I'm going to be interested in. But I still think the number's a little bit short there.
By the way, a quick
Bryan,
note, and this stuff doesn't mean anything. It's more curiosity than anything else. But I'll just mention that the Nationals, coming off a day off this season, are 1-9.
Okay. And Bryan, let's head to New York for the next game. We got the Oakland A's and the New York Yankees here. We get Caprellon, the righty, going for the A's, and Jameson Taillon coming off of a rough outing. I mean, one of the worst of his career here, Bryan. -135 favorites, 9.5. You interested at all in getting involved in Yankee Stadium tonight, Bryan?
I actually am. This is one of the games that I happen to like tonight, and it's on the Oakland A's. I'm looking at the team right now, and you've got a team that's 18-9 on the road. Yankees only 17-16 at home. The Yankees have just coming off a road trip in which you went to Minnesota, Philadelphia, and Toronto. It's their first game back. No days off. That's always a negative. When I take a look at the 2 pitchers, I rate Caprillion a little bit higher than I rate Taillon at this point. You take a look at the last 7 starts. Caprilli has only had 6 starts, but his average game score is 59. He's got a 2.51 ERA. Taillon, his last 7 starts, 6.10 ERA with a 46 game score. If you take a look at the advanced numbers, Caprilli's had a better record in that regard. I think that's we've seen a lot of pitchers come up this year that haven't had much major league experience, and they've struggled out of the gate. But he's one of the few guys that have had success here. I think that continues here. I know that Oakland against the Yankees have dominated them in the playoffs. But in the regular season, Oakland's won 4 of the last 6 meetings if you go back 3 years. So I prefer Oakland here, and it's a team that's playing really good ball. They've won 8 out of the last 9 games, and they've shown on the road that they've been very good. So I think the line has some value here on the underdog.
Okay, like in Oakland. Yeah, this was a little bit of a strange line to me as well, Dave. What are you thinking tonight in Yankee Stadium?
Well, by the way, mention the Nationals, how bad they've been off a day off. The A's are the Nuts off a day off. They're 8-0 this season after having taken a bye day. So maybe they can keep that streak going tonight. Caprillian's been okay. Took him a while to get to the majors. He was a very good prospect when he was drafted, and a lot of injury issues for Caprillion. And it really looked like he was just going to be one of those guys who couldn't stay healthy and never made it. But he finally has gotten healthy. Opened the year in Las Vegas, threw the ball well at our stadium here. The A's decided to call him up, and he's delivered. He's done well. His average game score is 59. A little misleading in a sense because some of the other analytics are not particularly good. His OPS is kind of on the high side on the road, 791. He's pitched better at home. We'll see what he does against the Yankee lineup that is to me, getting very unpredictable. Look, you've still got big names in this offense, but they just don't deliver on a regular basis. And they're just we're now far enough into the season where we can actually say this. They're an average offensive team, and that's about it. They're going to have nights where they absolutely explode with the big bats. They're going to have a lot of games where they swing and miss and end up with 1 or 2 runs, and that's about it. And the more I look at this baseball team, the more I think they're not going to be a playoff team at the end of the season with the current roster. And part of the problem has been the starting pitching. Jameson Taillon really not delivering. He's finally healthy, but you have to wonder if the succession of injuries that he's incurred over the years has taken a little bit of the edge off what appeared to be a really talented guy. He does have some interesting home road splits this year. He's been way better at home than on the road. Average game score at home is 58. His average overall game score is 47, which tells you how really bad he's been on the road. But that stuff to me has a tendency to level off. I tend to put more focus on the overall number than the home road number. I think the home road thing there's often a lot of regression. It's just kind of fluky when it's one side or the other. So to me, Caprillion is the better pitcher right now. The A's have the better offense right now. And again, for what it's worth, if you like playing on streaks, Oakland 8-0 off the day off. I'll go with the A's in this one.
Yeah, Dave, I like that. Oakland A's off of the 8-0 streak after the bye day, as you called it. And you also threw out there the Washington Nationals 1-9 off of a bye day. Is that a stat you track personally and have done for years? And is that something you put a lot of emphasis into?
Zero. I put absolutely zero emphasis into it. Zero. I just mentioned it for informational purposes only. It's kind of amusing. That's all it is. It means nothing. Short-term trends are useless, in my opinion. And if they can't be explained, even long-term trends, if they can't be explained, if there's no rationale as to why it's working, the likelihood is it'll start going in the other direction. That's why I'm not a trend guy. I'm a matchup guy.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Matchup is the way to go, in my opinion, as well. And, guys, we got 2 games left here. The next one, a good one, Dave. Chicago White Sox and the Houston Astros in the 8:10 Eastern time slot here. We get Carlos Rodon and Luis Garcia. Look, Garcia has been sleeper, winning 5 of his last 6 starts. He did drop his last one. Total of 8 in Minute Maid. Near a pick'em price here, Dave. -110 is what I'm mostly seeing here. The White Sox as the road favorite. What are you thinking tonight in Houston?
Well, the odds makers are telling you kind of what they think, at least the market is, because this Houston team is just absolutely crushing the baseball right now. Garcia's been pretty good, and yet here they are as home dogs, or basically even money. As far as the full game is concerned, and Rodon is actually a decent-sized favorite as far as the first 5 innings go. And, of course, from my standpoint, I usually look at first 5 because I'm starting pitcher-centric as far as the handicapping is concerned. And I had this game circled yesterday when I did the work going into the game. Rodon's coming off another really good performance where he took a no-hitter pretty deep into the game. He's already had one of those this year, just missed a perfect game in his no-hitter. Garcia, maybe we'll see a little bit of regression coming from Garcia. He did get knocked around in his last start. Been pitching well, and his numbers are good. But this is one where the eye test comes into play. I've watched Garcia pitch, and I don't think he's as good as his numbers show. I think he's a pitcher who, and I'm not saying he's a stiff or anything like that. I think he's going to be a fixer in the rotation. But he's pitched like a number 2 starter, and I don't think he is off his stuff. I think he's had the benefit of maybe getting teams at the right time, or they're being unfamiliar with what he's got. Now they're getting a little more of a book on him. He wasn't good in his last start. And we'll see what happens with him moving forward. That first bump in the road for a young starter can also lead to bumps in the road turning into potholes. So we'll see how he adjusts. Rodon's the better pitcher as far as this game is concerned. And I would favor the White Sox, but what's keeping me off it is the first 5 price. And again, I just don't like getting into full games if I can help it. The reliability factor just isn't there. Even in the game I had last night, the Angels and A's, the Angels and Tigers. I mean, this game went nuts in the last few innings. It's a 2-0 game. After my bet's done, 5th inning is complete. It's 2-0. It ends up 7-5. Neither bullpen could get anybody out. I don't want to get involved with the volatility factor there. So to me, it's first 5 innings. I like the White Sox, but I don't like the price.
All right. And Bryan, coming to you next here. I mean, 2 of the top teams in MLB. If you go by run differential, the top 2, we get the White Sox at +99 on the season, and the Houston Astros, the only team in Major League Baseball over 100 positive run differential here. The Astros have been really good at home. 23-13 home record here, Bryan. I was looking towards the Astros, but Dave makes a good case there. Maybe the White Sox first 5. What are you thinking tonight, Bryan?
Yeah, this is a tough handicap, but I can't wait to watch the game. It should be a lot of fun. Rodon's been tremendous. And it's funny because in his career, his last 5 starts, or his last 6 starts against, no, 5, Last 5 against Houston, he's got a 58 game score, but a 1.95 ERA, which is excellent. But he hadn't faced him since 2018. So this was back the old Carlos Rodon before he had all of his injuries, but he did have a lot of success. It's also the first time the White Sox have faced Garcia. I think that's a little bit of an advantage for the pitcher in that regard. It's tough you talked about Houston 23-13 at home, playing very well. It's tough to ignore a team who has scored 38 runs in their last 4 games. They're just knocking the cover off the ball right now. And if you take a look at, you talked about the run differential between the White Sox 99 and Houston 101. But once again, I talked about this earlier, against 500 teams or better. The White Sox are only 12-15, and the Astros are 18-11. So the White Sox have taken advantage of the weak teams that they have played. And the Central Division last year in the playoffs, 3 teams made the playoffs. None of them had a win. So taking advantage of the Kansas City's, Detroit's, and unfortunately for Minnesota fans, the Twins this year have been the way to go for the White Sox. It's tough for me to make a call here, but going back to your comment, you asked Dave about the day off situation. As for a certain team, no, I don't think it has a whole lot to do with it. But it does help it does help the hitters because they actually get a day off. And we've seen, we got the Mets coming up in the next week. They're going to play 3 doubleheaders. So it's very important for these players to get a day off, all these everyday players. So I tend to look more for overs in that game. I charted it earlier this year. The American League was showing significant advantage to the overs, but the National League didn't pan out. So I let it go. I didn't do much more than that. But that's something I tend to look at, is looking to play the overs, or at least for the team total over if the teams get a day off like that.
I like it. And guys, joining us live, let us know what you're betting in this game. Also, Johnny Outlaw joining us, saying roof closed in Houston. Why do they even have a retractable roof when it's always closed? Johnny, that's something I would say across MLB. A lot of these retractable roof stadiums, you don't even really need to check. They're always closed. I don't get it either, because I actually enjoy watching baseball with the roof open. But that's a story for another day. And shout out to the chat box, everybody joining us live here. We got Jessica, Abby, Chris the Mutt, Lance. Thank you all. Patrick as well, Buck, for joining us live. And let us know what you're looking to bet on tonight's card. And if you're liking the content, guys, please smash that like button, the thumbs up on YouTube. It does help us out. We got one more game, best bets at the end. Bryan, let's head out to San Francisco for the nightcap of the show. We got the Philadelphia Phillies and Vince Velasquez on the hill versus the San Francisco Giants and Johnny Cueto. Looks like we're seeing minus $1.25 here for the home Giants. 8.5 the total. What are you liking tonight in the nightcap, Bryan?
Tough to go against these Giants the way they've been playing, but I haven't said this much in my career, but I think Vince Velasquez is the better pitcher on the mound here. This is a guy who's always had strikeout ability. He just walked too many batters. His last 7 starts, he's only walked, 16 batters, none more than 3 in a single game. So he's starting to get under control, and if he can control his walks, he's been a much better pitcher. Phillies on the road, unfortunately, are only, I believe, 12 and 21. Yeah, just what I thought on the road. And the Giants have been really good at home at 22-9. I don't know if you guys have read this. I read this somewhere a couple of days ago. It might have been yesterday. And now I can't remember where I saw it, and I couldn't find it once again. But one of the pitchers for the Giants, they interviewed him, and they said on the last road trip when they went to Texas and Washington, during the road trip, they did something different in the outfield, which opened up more airflow out to the outfield. And they come home, they play Arizona. Their total runs scored 7, 17, 20, and 13. So if that is true, we may be able to look at the over here and get ahead of the line move a little bit quicker. But to be honest with you, I can't remember where it was. Dave and I read so much, I'm sure you do also. But you tend to forget what you have read. I thought it was San Francisco. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was San Francisco because they just came home from that road trip and they got all these runs scored. But I wish I could remember where I saw it, but something to keep in mind. If somebody wants to fill us in on what the article was, please do so in the chat room. But something to keep an eye on for tonight and the future for totals in San Francisco.
Yeah, Bryan, actually, that seems like a fundamental change there that might be a winning ticket. So anybody that knows what Bryan's talking about, let's work together as a group here in the chat box or below on YouTube. And Bryan, one thing I do more so in college football, but it could work in this situation. Do you remember some of the main topics that you were reading about? Because we can type it into Google, and maybe find it that way as well.
Other than increased run scoring in Giant Stadium, I really wouldn't know.
So it sounds like it really might be this San Francisco home field here. But Dave, let's come to you, man. What are your thoughts here on the nightcap?
Well, I mean, the Giants' offense right now is just raking, but they did a lot of that raking against a AAA staff, basically. The Diamondbacks, they got Zach Gallen back yesterday. He did not look real good. Merrill Kelly is the only other starter they've got from their opening of the season rotation. So at one time they were down to Kelly and everybody else was injured. And the Arizona bullpen is basically a bunch of stiffs. So you have to factor that in when looking at current team form. So even though the Giants over the last week have this ridiculous WRC plus, a bunch of those games are against the Diamondbacks who can't pitch. Now they'll be facing, wait a minute, they're facing another staff that kind of can't pitch. It's the Phillies. The Phillies bullpen is atrocious. It's just absolutely horrible. Now any bullpen can have good little stretches, but overall, Philadelphia isn't very good in the bullpen. And I, quite frankly, don't understand what they're doing out there. Alvarado should be pitching the most high leverage inning, which is the ninth inning. He is clearly the best bullpen guy they've got by far. The guy's throwing a 100-mile sinker. 100-mile-an-hour sinker. I mean, you can't hit it. Hector Neris is completely inconsistent. I understand, maybe they can go 2 innings with Alvarado in the 7th and 8th, but you got to have somebody to close the game. And to me, you put your best reliever in the 9th inning. But that's just my way of thinking. Velasquez has been okay, surprisingly. I don't have much faith in him. And, OPS on the road is on the high side. It's a little over 800. So I think there might be some regression coming with Velasquez. Cueto is getting by with smoke and mirrors. His stuff is not what it used to be, but he's a crafty old right-hander at this point, and he has pitched better at home than on the road, and he's got a full 100 points better on OPS at home versus Velasquez on the road. And the Phillies have some injury issues. Now, that's something to check. And I would definitely check that before you get involved with this game. Will Bryce Harper play tonight? Will Jean Segura, who has been their hottest hitter, will he be playing tonight? They both sat out the last game. Harper has a back issue. My guess is he'll be playing. I don't know about Segura, who has a little bit of a groin issue. And, sometimes that takes a week or so. Neither one went on the IL, which is a good sign. But I would check the lineups as far as that goes. I'll lean to the Giants in the game because they're finding ways to get it done, and the Phillies are not very good on the road. Not a play that's going to make my card, but we'll call it a lean on San Francisco.
I like it, Dave. Yeah, throwing out some gems there. The crafty old right-hander and with Johnny Cueto. San Francisco 22-9 at home. They've been a beast in San Francisco and the lot better bullpen, like Dave pointed out. Bryan, we got a question here in the chat box from Joshua. Any thoughts on the Indians game? Always like getting your opinion here. I know you follow the Indians pretty closely. And tonight, it just didn't make the cut here. But Cleveland, Pittsburgh, looks like Cleveland minus 129, total of 9. Any quick thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I do. I like the Indians tonight. I believe they won 5 out of the last 6 in Pittsburgh. Beautiful ballpark. PNC is my favorite ballpark. I love it when the Indians go there. In fact, I normally go to a lot of games there in that regard. But Mejia is one of those guys that he's just not giving up any hard hit rate. It's like 29% hard hit rate. He's a big, huge guy, and he's been giving up a lot of soft contact. And you talk a soft contact, that's what the Pittsburgh Pirates do. They don't hit the ball hard. They don't hit a lot of home runs. I think he's going to have a lot of success here. And Chad Kuhl's one of those guys that he's never been more than a journeyman pitcher. And the Indians are playing great ball. I believe they've won 8 straight. Now they have played Baltimore and some lesser teams as of late. But the line to me looks a little bit short. Money came in on Pittsburgh overnight. At this current number, there's no way I could think about playing the Pirates here. It'd be the Indians or nothing for me.
Okay, Indians are past there. Joshua, thanks for the question. And thanks to everybody coming in and joining us live in the chat box. And again, guys, we got best bets now. But if you're watching on replay, that's cool as well. Feel free to leave a comment below with any questions. We'll try to answer it next week's show, Monday through Friday, each and every day, right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel, 1:45 Eastern start. All right, time for best bets. Let's head to Bryan Leonard first. Bryan, where are you heading for best bets tonight, buddy?
I'm going to head out west, and I'm going to take a look at the Tampa Bay Seattle game. And Tampa's been one of those teams that's just been tremendous all year long. They're able to win these close games. This year, it's a little bit different. In games, extra inning games and one-run games, they're actually a combined 11-18. The bullpen, as Dave can point out, they've had a lot of injuries in the back of the bullpen, but they continue to throw guys out there, and they've had success. But they're not settled in the bullpen right now. Seattle, I believe, is. Montero, I believe, is out of the ninth inning, out of the eighth inning. They've got to be able to pitch him until he gets his stuff back earlier in the game. Steckenrider is a guy who's pitched very well as of late. I believe he'll be in the eighth inning. And Graveman's a guy who's back from injury. He hasn't pitched in a few days, neither is Steckenrider. And so you got two rested guys in the eighth and the ninth inning. When I take a look at the starters here, you got Waka against Kikuchi. I'd much rather trust Kikuchi. 3.67 ERA on the season compared to 4.54 for Waka. But Kikuchi's last 7 starts, his average game score is 60. His ERA is 3.14, and he's got a 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. That's been the situation for Kikuchi. He's only had one game in which he allowed more than 3 walks. He's a guy that's really he's pitched a lot better than what his results show on the season. He was a hot commodity in fantasy baseball before the season started, and I bid on him, and I think we're going to see a nice end of the season for Kikuchi. I'm looking to fade Waka, and I'll play Kikuchi, and I prefer the Seattle bullpen in this game. I'm not going to say that very often against Tampa Bay, but I don't like what's going on in Tampa right now. A lot of these injuries, and now they've lost their best pitcher for it looks like for the season. So as much as I like the Tampa Bay Rays, I think we're going to see some regression here, and they're continuing to be priced as if they're an elite team. I don't know if they're going to be that way the rest of the season.
I like it, Bryan. All right, good stuff from Bryan Leonard. Next up here, Dave Koken, fresh off of his 5% winner. I also believe a best bet winner on the Cubs at a plus price last night. But Dave, for today's show, where are you going for best bets tonight?
White Sox, the game I talked about, it didn't make my card. It would have made my card at Pick'em, but not at 125 or thereabouts for the first 5 innings. Since I already went through that game, I want to answer a question that I get all the time. The question I get asked most often is who's going to win the Super Bowl? And my answer to that is I'll let you know when I know which 2 teams are playing in the Super Bowl. I really couldn't care less outside of that. The other question I get asked is how do I get started in this business that we're in? In some ways, I'm a good person to ask because I've been in the business for what is now, I'm in my 5th decade in this business. I'm also maybe a bad person to ask because there were like 10 people doing this in the country when I started doing it. So, it's a little bit of a different playing field now. There are literally thousands of people who want to do what we do. My answer, though, is, look, invest a little money, get some video equipment, and do videos. It's okay to go on Twitter and give picks, but you really can't explain why you like the picks. And to me, if you can't give an explanation as to why you're on a selection, then it's just, you may as well be just flipping a coin. I want to know why somebody likes something. And to me, if you want to break into this business, it's not going to happen overnight, but get some video equipment and do some videos where you give out games and you tell people why you like a side. You really don't have to win all the time. If people see that you know what you're talking about, you'll start to get visibility and popularity, and that's when you can do some good in this business. So there's the answer to that. Spend the money and get some decent video equipment. By the way, the irony here is that sometimes I'll get the answer, well, I'm real good at this, but I can't afford to get that video equipment. Well, if you're real good at this, then you should be able to afford to get the video equipment because you've been winning your bets. So don't bullshit about an old bullshitter, okay? I used to be able to throw out lines with the best of them, and not when it came to sports, but when it came to chasing women, which is a whole different a form of handicapping. Anyway, White Sox for the best bet here on the show. I have 2 selections today. One is a free play. You can view that right now and find out why I like that game on Twitter at Dave Koken or on my Wager Talk homepage, wt.buzz/DC, and you'll get my featured play for the day as well. And I have a small play on the hockey game tonight to boot, and that's it.
All right. Thanks for that, Dave. Video content is key. Video content, something we're doing each and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Bryan, before I give out my best bet, I think you have something to say?
Yeah, a couple things to say. First of all, we all know that Dave's a plus EV handicapper. I've heard some stories about his dating days, so he's a plus EV dater also, because I heard he had some beautiful girlfriends. Well, these were the younger days.
Yeah.
I do want to point out my package today. I forgot to mention it earlier. I've got 3 plays up, all for one low price. I did have the Reds yesterday. We did lose that game, but it's been red hot in baseball as of late. Put up a basketball comp up on the site, and you can get those over at Wager Talk. But yeah, in regards to what Dave was talking to about getting started, I don't spend a lot of money on these stuff to tape. As long as you have good information, people will find you. It doesn't have to be the greatest the greatest stuff that you're using to handicap and use your video service. But if you've got good information, and there's a lot of guys out there now that are coming out with good information. I love to watch. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot of articles. There's a lot of good information out there. If you provide good information, to me, it doesn't really matter if you win or lose, as long as I could gain some information from you that I don't already know. To me, you've got me as a follower. So you go out there and do the best you can. And, people are going to win and lose. You get on winning streaks, losing streaks. There's a lot of haters out there. So it's tough to put out plays for people. But as long as you take the time and let people know why you're playing it, not just that the Dallas Cowboys are 8-0 when the other team stomps on the star, that kind of stupid shit. You'll get people to follow you, and you'll gain our respect in that regard also.
Is that accurate? Are the Dallas Cowboys 8-0 when the other team stomps on the star? I was going to factor that into my handicapping.
It's the deuce. So what's the chances of that happening again?
Good stuff from Dave Koken. We got legend Dave. Dave lands the models here in the chat box from Joe Dirt. We got Bryan Slick Leonard, Bryan the Truth Leonard. So people loving it here. And guys, thanks again for joining us live. Please smash that like button. And I'll finish it off here. Tough follow after that from Dave and Bryan. But heading up a mile high where we went last night and got the winner. Going back to it, the trend is your friend here. And Corbin Burns hasn't pitched in Coors very often, but he has a over 1,000 team OPS against in the one start he did have. So he's got great numbers here, guys. But the Brewers losing 4 straight. The Rockies winning 4 straight. And Sensatella, his last 3 games pitching in Coors, 20 innings, only 4 earned runs given up. So he's a hotter pitcher at home. We're getting him at home and a plus 173 price tag on the Rocks tonight. So going with the big underdog, a mile high with the Rockies. And those home road splits, guys, don't forget about it. 24-14 at home, just 5-27 on the road. We're getting them at home. That's where they're the better team. So, guys, in recap here of best bets before we shut it down, I'm on the Rockies, plus 173. Bryan Leonard, Mariners, at almost the pick'em price there, minus 103. And Dave Koken on the White Sox, minus 106. So thank you for joining us live here. Friday's show, we'll be back on Monday, same time, same place. For Dave Koken, Bryan Leonard, I am Drew Martin. Please smash that like button on your way out, guys. Have a fun, safe weekend. Best of luck with your bets. Thanks for tuning in.
What's better than $2 Tuesday at Sports Memo? How about Freebie Friday? We can't go any lower than free, and each and every Friday we'll hand select a best bet from one of the hottest handicappers on the site and give it out for free. All you have to do is each and every Friday, head over to sportsmemo.com. The Freebie Friday will be listed on the homepage, and you'll be just a click away from a free bet.